Hey everyone, my name is Jack Chapple. I upload business, entrepreneurship, investing, and finance related videos pretty much every single day. And today we're talking about 11 signs that you will be a millionaire. Now, full disclosure, this is inspired by an article on CNBC. I always like to give credit to them, so go check it out on their website. But this is 11 signs that you will be a millionaire. And here are my opinions on them. And I agree with most of them, actually. So we're going to get started here. Number one, super important. I mean, it is extremely difficult to become a millionaire without this. Multiple income streams. This is very terrible writing here, so my apologies. Multiple income streams. This is like the number one thing. It's very rare that you will be able to become a millionaire with only one income stream. But it doesn't mean that you have to have like 3 jobs or 3 businesses or whatever. So usually here's what happens. Here's how most people become millionaires. You're an employee, that's your main income. You invest that in either stocks or real estate, so on. Plus you have a side gig. That's all it really takes most of the time. You have a side gig where you teach people, you tutor people, you do something, you sell something on the side. That's usually all it takes, 3. Now actually, most millionaires need about 6 or 7. So we're talking a lot of millionaires have a primary job or a primary business. Usually they're business owners for the most part. So usually you have a business with a few streams of income that come from that. Maybe you have an also side business, and maybe you invest money in real estate, and maybe you invested it in stocks or some other way. Those are just some general examples. But for the average person, it's usually you have a main employee job, and then you have a side gig, which pays you whatever, a couple $100 a month. And then you invest that money in stocks and or real estate or some other safe investment. That's all it really takes, multiple streams of income for most people. Now for me, I think I have 3 primary ones right now, and I have like 3 to 4 other ones right now, passive ones that are a lot smaller, minor ones. So, it's better to have more. It also means that I like this because it means that if one of your income streams were to go to 0, you'll be fine. And I talk about that in the Wealth Accelerator program, which you can check out in the link below. But that's very important. The fact that you can have multiple primary sources of income, so if you get fired, you still have more than enough money to pay for all your living expenses and so on. That's what I like about it. But multiple income streams are very important. So number 2 is investing. Just investing, period. We're going to put a period there. If you invest your money in any non-speculation sense, like you don't invest it in penny stocks, don't invest it into stupid, tech stocks that will go up or down by whatever 50% in a day. If you're investing in some sort of smart way that is safe over time and grows over time, for the most part, 4 to 6% per year, or 10%, then you're going to be a millionaire. Even if it's not stocks, even if it's whatever, 401k, even though I rip on that all the time, that's better than nothing. If it's real estate, if you just invest, period, that's going to potentially, actually what's funny is that if you invest, period, that's the difference between you retiring or dying as from a 100,000-aire from a millionaire. And that's the difference, just by investing. Compound interest is a hell of a thing. It adds up over time. So we're going to move on to number 3 here. Surrounded by high achievers. This is the thing too. I talk about this in the Wealth Accelerator program too, is that surrounding yourself with good people, with good high achieving people around you, that's what separates, that's their high achievingness, that's not a word, but if you surround yourself with high achieving people, a lot of that stuff rubs off on you subconsciously. It's a psychological thing. So I talk about this too, is that if you just surround yourself with people that are high achievers, that aren't doing drugs and just sitting on the couch and living at home with their parents all the time, and just sitting in the basement playing video games all day with their pants off. If you surround yourself with at least hardworking people, they don't have to be millionaires, not all of them, but if you surround yourself with hardworking and intelligent people, that's going to rub off on you over time. It just does. It just does. I've talked, I have a completely set, 20-minute video in my Wealth Accelerator program. If you want to hear more about that, then just check it out in the link below, because that's a whole different video. We're going to move on to number 4 here, which is decisiveness. So being decisive is extremely important, not because it's like you have to be a good decision maker or anything. I mean you do have to be an okay decision maker, but making those decisions fast and taking action right away, that's the important thing. Not wasting time. That's why decisiveness is important. I mean, people will just sit on their butts. Should I make this decision? Should I start this business? Should I advance in my career? Should I ask my boss for a raise? They just sit around. Don't make a decision. And it takes weeks, and sometimes they just don't do it. If you can make a decision fast and take action, that can potentially be a sign that you're going to be launch a successful business, advance in your career, and so on. Have a higher income. So that'll be a good sign that you will become a millionaire one day. Just being decisive in life, in general. I know it's kind of funny because, I also had this conversation, like, it was in my vlog recently about how, I was asking my girlfriend, like, where should we go eat? And then she's like, I don't know. And so then eventually I just said, we're going to McDonald's. Or I said, you want to go to McDonald's? We're going to McDonald's. All right? So just like be a good decision maker. That was so irrelevant. I'm really sorry. But it's funny because I know a lot of girls are like that too, indecisive about eating and stuff. So be decisive. Okay, so we're going to move on to the number 5 thing here, and that is being open-minded. This is a big thing here. So many successful people, they got to be open-minded about business, about politics. I mean, the funny story is about how, a lot of successful people that aren't like actresses or celebrities or whatever, they have all these like strong political beliefs, right? They're so close-minded, like my way is the only right way, right? And just those open-minded, like people thought the world was going to end when Trump got in. And that the world was going to change and their day-to-day life would just be a bunch of racist stuff all day, and that's not what happens. You just got to be a little bit open-minded. I'm not a Trump supporter whatsoever. He's done a lot of, stuff that I don't agree with, but it's just open-minded. Like, he's a guy at the end of the day. And this just applies to business too. I mean, you can't be closed-minded. You can't just have one direction and then just not change and like, this is the path to success. You just got to be open-minded and realize that there are lots of different ways, and people think differently. Like it's okay if someone has a different opinion than you. That's okay. I mean, you just got to be open-minded about people's beliefs as long as they aren't hurting anyone else or they aren't, destroying people's lives, then let them have that belief. That's how it should be. Just be open-minded to other people's opinions, listen to them, maybe change your own. My opinions have changed over time. I mean, I've told you guys, I don't know if I've told you guys, but like for our Canadian, political system, I've technically never voted. I've only had one opportunity to vote, but I didn't like anyone. But throughout my life, through teenage years and so on, there's 3 major parties in Canada. There's been NDP, Liberal, and Conservative. And at one point, I picked each one of those as my favorite. At one point, NDPs and Liberals and Conservatives, I liked each one of those as my favorite at some point in time because I'm open-minded. That's how it should be. You can't just be like stuck in one direction, be like, no matter what happens, I'm going to trust this, I'm going to trust that, I'm going to go this direction. You got to be open-minded. You got to change, you got to adapt over time. So we're going to move on here to number 6, which is money goals. It is very rare that you see someone who is very wealthy, who doesn't have goals about money, about what they want to do with their career, with their business, with their life. I mean, most self-made millionaires, here's a secret, most self-made millionaires aim to be self-made millionaires. Whoa, that's a secret. So if you want to be one, it's not a law of attraction thing. There's 99.99999% of it is work you put in action. But part of it is like actually setting goals and thinking about it and being optimistic. So set money goals. Do you want to be a millionaire? You gotta believe in yourself. You gotta set goals. You gotta set a timeline, so on. So we're gonna move on to number 7, which is persistence. Persistence. So just because, I mean, I've told you guys, I've failed at 17 businesses before 3 took off. 17. What if I'd given up on business 16 or 15 or 14 or 1 or 2 or 3? I wouldn't be here talking to you guys, that's for sure. So be persistent. I mean, saying that, being persistent and being, I guess open-minded kind of go against each other a little bit. Being persistent, but noticing where your faults are along the way. So if one business strategy isn't working out, if one career path isn't working out, then you gotta move on. However, try something new. Be determined to try something new. Sure, if one path isn't working, be persistent and go another path. Try something else. Keep trying. Be persistent. We're going to move on here. Move on here to 8, which is talk about ideas. So talk about ideas. Don't talk about materialistic things. Talk about things that you can learn from. Talk about ideas, business ideas, career ideas with other people. See what they say. Learn. That's a big thing with millionaires. Actually, we should just probably move on to the next one here, which is books. I mean, this goes right up the lines of that. Books. Reading nonfiction books, big correlation between millionaires and everyone else. Average self-made millionaire reads 1 to 2 nonfiction books a week, or not week, a month. 1 to 2. How many of you read this month? I'm actually behind. I've only read 1. Although, to be fair, I've been doing audiobooks, right? And so the Unshakable Tony Robbins podcast or audiobook is like, 16 hours long or something, or 9 hours or 10 hours long. So I think I probably could have read it much faster. But still, it's read books. You read nonfiction books. You read money books. Even, I do count this, like watching these kinds of YouTube videos. I do this all the time. And I do count that as essentially reading a nonfiction book, a small one. Watching educational YouTube videos. I mean, as long as you pay attention and you learn and you take to heart what the person is saying, then that's like reading a nonfiction book, a small one. Maybe if you watch 2 hours of them, that's like reading a little bit of a book. So we're going to move on here to number 10, which is calculated risks. This is a big one. This is what separates the middle class mindset from the upper class mindset, from the millionaire mindset. Risk-taking. I didn't even realize that this was a thing because I'd always have that risk-taking entrepreneurial spirit in me. I didn't know that this was a thing until I started talking to people that were just normal and wanted to be middle class. Like a lot of my friends, they have no aspirations to become millionaires. They just want to make 50 grand a year and just retire on a pension. I mean, if that makes them happy, it doesn't matter to me. Doesn't matter to me, but taking calculated risks and wanting every day to be different, that's a big correlation. That's a sign that you're going to be a millionaire. If you do calculated risks, don't take dumb risks. Don't invest in penny stocks. Right? That's just stupid, right? So making calculated business ventures, calculated investments, things along those lines. And that's a sign that you'll be a millionaire. Now we're going to move on to, number 11. This is pretty much the same thing as what I just talked about, but think big. Think big. And that's the same thing I was talking about before. I mean, you got to have big dreams. You're not going to accidentally one day stumble into $1 million. That just doesn't happen. So you got to have big dreams. You got to think big. You got to be motivated. You got to know what you want. So think big. If you want to become a millionaire, you got to think that you can become one. I know, it's stupid law of attraction stuff. It's a lot more, trust me, action is most of it. However, you got to think that you can. You got to think that you can do it. Like I'll wrap this up by saying this, is that, like I've told this story before about how, I seriously think I could potentially become a billionaire one day. There's lots of steps in between there, but I think that it can happen. And so, people get intimidated when I say that, especially when, I started dating my girlfriend. She, thought that this was all intimidating. I had all these big dreams and stuff. She'd never met anyone like that before. But I'm completely serious about that I could become a billionaire, and I would be disappointed if I'm not worth $10 million by the time I'm 40. I'd be completely disappointed. So that's something for you guys to think about. You got to think big. Be intimidating. Have big dreams that people will laugh at you for or be intimidated by. You got to have that stuff. So I think that's going to wrap this up. What do you guys think? These are pretty much spot on. I mean, some of the things you got to do. So I'd like to thank you very much for watching. Remember to check out the Wealth Accelerator program. If you liked this video, I mean, I pretty much have videos on all of these, specifically that go into really big detail. So, I mean, check that program out. It'll cover a lot of this, plus, but I have like 39 videos in there. So, make sure to check that out. It could really benefit you and change your life. So make sure to check it out. Check it out, check it out, check it out. I've said that 15 million times already. So I'd like to thank you very much for watching. You're all very beautiful people, and I'll see you guys in the next video.